Listen, the name of this game is not it's not no personal game. This music shit is not personal. It's only about one thing. Is you hot or not? That's it.
Yeah, you gotta deliver the music. Overall, I would give his advice maybe a 6.5, 7 out of 10.
Damn. Music entrepreneurs, what's going down? That was a comment for me. So you want me to scream during my intro. What the fuck is going down? Let's get this shit for real. 2026, new shit. DJ Payne, one Dame Ritter. It's the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast, the mixtape. And we're definitely turned up in this bitch. It's actually very early every time we record these. And it's funny, like right before I start the intro, there's a little countdown. It's a 5-second countdown. When the number gets down to 3, Dame goes, "We definitely need more energy." I'm like, all right. So that's what you get. That's Dame's fault. But welcome back to the MEC podcast, where we talk it because we live it, and we live it so we give it. I'm gonna have to bleep out some of that colorful mixtape language in the intro because YouTube
demonetization straight out the gate.
They don't even demonetize. They'll just kind of restrict. YouTube's got all this weird stuff now, all these interesting AI features where it'll caption everything and then analyze the expletives and then say, okay, this is a little too much. Let's do something about this. Let's restrict this and blah blah blah. But
well, you gotta. I mean, you gotta play by the rules. I think. I mean, if you want to maximize the potential of a particular platform, that's why we're so happy to be on the Tubi platform, because there's no restrictions around cussing. We don't have anything with nudity in it, but I would imagine at some point, though, it will make sense to have some nudity.
Yeah, and just for the record, you're talking about you and Big John, not us being
platform. yes, with Big John's content. Definitely not talking about us. My bad. That's all.
I mean, it could happen. It just, it depends.
No, it cannot happen. It cannot happen.
This is why we're not getting sponsorships, Dame, because you say no to everything.
So yeah, I mean, it's just everybody needs to play by the. If you don't want to play by the rules, there's typically consequences, and if you're okay with dealing with those consequences, then don't play by the rules. But it is what it is. Anyway, how you doing today, Payne?
No, that's good advice. Get naked and play by the rules. I'm all right. I got some kind of cold variant from working with the kids. I think I shouldn't blame the kids, but they were the only people I was around that I didn't have a mask on the whole time. So,
but you do. So, I love when people try to pinpoint exactly when they got sick. Like you didn't do hella other things. Like you could have gotten sick going into the store. You could have gotten sick going outside. Like there's so many, but people are like, yeah, I ate that orange the other day and I knew it tasted funny. So that's when I got sick.
Here's where you're about to start a debate right away, because what you have is an issue with underestimating how much of a hermit I am. So I can pinpoint one incubation period is about 2 to 3 days. So I didn't go anywhere other than there. And then I had an event, and this is actually my win. So I'm going to tie this into my event. I had an event on Saturday, and then Sunday I wasn't feeling well. 3 days prior to that was the workshop with the kids. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I didn't do anything, and I was masked up. So even if I hadn't been masked up at my event, because there were hundreds and hundreds of like 500 people there, it wouldn't have hit me that hard. But anyway, my win is that I DJ, as you know. Well, actually, a lot of people don't know. I post photos of me DJing. They're like, wait, oh wow, okay, you DJ? I'm like, yeah, my name is DJ Pitt. But I guess a lot of people just think that I'm lying. I mean, like even DJ Academics has photos of him DJing at one point. But that's I call myself that because I DJ. And it's mad stressful. Like I'm very comfortable doing the nights that I do. I have a residency with my sister Cupcake, and we have, it's like it's from the 90s till now. And it's rap, R&B, emphasis on the R&B, but it depends on the crowd. And like, that's my thing. I'm very comfortable doing that. This event was family prom, And so it's families. So one, I got to keep it super clean, like super clean. And when you get clean versions of songs, they might still offend people because certain words aren't necessarily expletives, but they're not necessarily in line with everybody's morals. So especially the new Taylor Swift stuff, man. Kids love Taylor Swift. And now she's cussing and talking about dicks and whatever. So that becomes a problem. This is my third year, and it was great. It was the best one. I had kids dancing. Thank you, K-pop Demon Hunter soundtrack. For real. Thank you, Sabrina Carpenter, and all these artists now making fast and anthemic pop music. That was kind of the reason I was talking about how pop music kind of has a similar sound right now, and everyone's like, rap all sounds the same. Like everything has always just kind of leaned towards homogenization when something's popular. But I digress. It was a great night. My cold isn't even that bad. What's your win, Dame?
So I made an announcement on my Instagram page the other day that I'm starting an R&B Collective. So it's not quite a label, but it will be a group of probably, 8 to 10 artists to start, where we will support each other. They will cross promote each other. We'll drop music consistently. I want my R&B Collective, to create music that's reminiscent of the late 90s, early 2000s with like a new twist on it. So I'm going to be very specific about the music that I want my collective to make. People that are part of the collective can create music outside of it. You're not signing to it. It's not going to be an exclusive situation. It's just going to be a place to have community, to have some fun, to have other collaborators that just want to make some dope quality R&B music. And it's part of a larger platform that will exist and will be open to the public in the coming months. But my collective will be a case study for a platform that will have a lot of collectives. So if you don't get accepted into mine, there will be other collectives that start, and eventually you'll be able to start your own on this platform. I mean, if you wanted to start a collective separate from this platform, you can do that today if you want. But I'll have more information coming soon. There are some people that I know that I've already invited into the collective, but I'm definitely going to be taking applications as well. So I'll post the link. If people want to apply to join, please. There's only 8 to 10 spots, and I would imagine half of them are already taken. So please don't get angry with me if you don't get selected. Again, we're going to be creating a community where a lot of collectives can pop up and flourish. So hopefully you'll find a home in a collective at some point. But I'm excited, man.
Quick,
yeah.
So let's say a producer starts a collective. They could start a collective with other producers and just release a bunch of instrumental music, or they could start a collective with other producers and just create a bunch of beats collaboratively and then shop them. But I'm thinking too, like, a producer starts a collective, and so for example, I could start a collective where it's like, all right, you can join, and I'm producing for everyone. You're not paying for beats, but everyone in there has to have 60K or more monthly listeners or something like that. That could be the requirement, and then everyone's winning.
The collective lead establishes the rules for their collective. So you can make it as broad or as specific as you want. But everything will be super transparent. The percentage splits on songs, super transparent. Everything just on the up and up, so that the focus can just be making the best music possible. If that's even the goal of your collective, You might have a collective where that's not even the goal. It could be more education based. So if you have an interest in being a collective, the collective leads to start will be people that have a significant amount of experience in the music industry, or have, a pretty decent sized platform. So it'll be dope. So just stay tuned. Just stay tuned for people that are watching this and are interested. Just stay tuned. You'll have more information coming soon. I haven't announced the name of my collective, so let me just do it here. My collective is going to be called Room and Board, an R&B Collective. So I'm working on the logo. I'm working on a lot of things. It's like label light. Like if you're thinking about starting a label and you don't want to do everything that's required to start a label, this collective option could be like a label light option, which I think is dope. It still gives on the artist side like some infrastructure, some community, and just hopefully a positive environment to create. So be on the lookout for it. I'll have more information coming soon, but I'm excited to the point where I got pulled back into music when I've been telling you guys that I wanted to leave music for the past, however many years.
Yeah, but no one believed you, so it's fine.
It's all good. Yeah, I don't know. There's just too much. As soon as I announced that I got let go from Two Laws, people kept hitting me with different opportunities. This is one of them. And I just thought it was such a dope idea. And it encapsulates a lot of the things that I've been preaching on the MEC for years in terms of cross promotion, collaboration. Collaboration, I think, is huge. So this is an opportunity to do that in a bit of a more structured way. And then there'll be other ideas that I have for this too that I think will be really cool, that will provide an incentive for people to have their collectives on this platform, as opposed to just doing it on your own, which again is completely fine. But that's my win. If you're an R&B person that can sing, like I want some singer. Like if you can sing a cappella and you have great live footage, that'll be part of the application. I really want some people that can sing really well. So tap in with me.
Well, you got to set the example too. You got to be the David Ruffin of the group.
Nah, I can't sing at all. I can hold a little bit of a note as long as I don't sing over a certain decibel. Like I sing really low. Like as soon as I start to get loud, it's a wrap. So yeah. As you guys can see, Erinn's not with us today. I think she just had something going on during this. I think she's on the news or something.
Yeah, some media run.
Yeah. So, she's leaving us little people behind.
That's how it happens. Speaking of leaving little people behind, that's a terrible segue. Let's run to the first clip, which is Wallo. Can you give some context on this?
Yeah, so Wallo posted a carousel post, basically giving his suggestion. If you got signed for $250,000, like this is what he would suggest you do with the money. So I want to play each one, but after each one, Payne, I want to hear from you whether that's a good idea, bad idea, or maybe it's a good idea. You just want to alter it a little bit. Just want to get your perspective on each idea. So let's do it like that. So let's start with one. I think this says step 6. I think we got to go. Did he post them in order? Yeah, go back. Go.
Start with Instagram. One. I swear to God. Okay.
There we go. Start with one.
One, I'm gonna give me a place to stay. If I'm young, I'm a young artist. I'm doing my thing. I need somewhere to stay. Most of them, a lot of these guys coming up, it's going to be the first time they ever going to get their own spot most of the time. So I'm going to find a spot, something for like $2,000 a month. If I'm in the East Coast, I'm going to stay somewhere like a Hoboken. So I'm got to stay in New York. The cost is a little higher. Here, Hoboken is more in the cut. After I do that, like $2,000 a month. So I might give them like anywhere from 3 to 6 months up. Now, really, I got $250,000. I'm going to give them anywhere from 3 to 6 months. Number one, I'm going to give me a...
Okay. So a place to stay for $2,000 a month, and he's saying prepay the rent for 3 to 6 months, so you don't have to worry about it. What do you think about that suggestion?
I mean, I think it's smart. It's not necessarily something that everybody. I don't think any of these statements are going to be all encompassing. Where for me, when I was coming up, and I was much younger, I could live with parents, or if I went to Atlanta, my manager was in Atlanta. If I went to New York, I had a lot of friends in New York. If I went to LA, I had people in LA. So I could stay with them, maybe give them some money for a short-term period while I'm doing what I'm doing and moving around, which wouldn't necessarily be a rental situation. So I think it just depends on your goals, because some artists, I think what would be dope is if you're tied to a certain area and that's where you're most productive and that's the most auspicious place for you to be, then, and you're young and you're social, I'm none of those things. Start like a collective living situation with other creatives that you get along with. That would be cool. Hopefully it's people that you can stand to live with. It has to be, but I think that would be super dope. Create with people, share resources. Someone has studio gear, someone has production gear, someone has video gear. You're all in the same space. It's kind of like a incubation space, and I don't know. It's like an Odd Future type scenario.
Yeah. I would imagine that before you got signed, you were living somewhere. So unless you are homeless, like I have never had a problem like living with other people. I try to cut that down if I am just working with this 250,000. But obviously you want a space where you can create in too. So you need to find a home that maybe you can split the cost, because it's not just 2,000, right? If you live by yourself, then you got, utilities, internet, now you're shouldering all that yourself too. So I can't knock renting a place to stay, because you got to stay somewhere. But that's definitely going to be on an individual basis on what it is you need. I would just encourage you to, if you are open to it, like, just rent a room or rent a couple of rooms as opposed to a whole spot. But let's go to the second. What does he suggest on the second tile?
I'm not going to disagree with any of this.
Go get me a studio. The studio that I'm going to get, like I always tell y'all, MacBook Pro, Apollo, a microphone, a stand, some headphones, XLR cord, and a Thunderbolt cord. Bang, I'm going to get that Thunderbolt 3. Bang, I'm going to get that now. I got my studio, right? Bang. Because everywhere I go, I want to be able to have my studio with me so I can record. I'm going to lock in with a good engineer. Always email my stuff over. You can make...
that's just... We don't disagree with that, right?
Not at all. That is a great recommendation. Everybody should have a place where they can record themselves. We can go to step 3.
I love how hyper specific it is. Hey, the one thing I'll say is, if you're a PC person, that's fine too. I don't judge. You can get the same shit on a Windows platform, and it'll be fine. It will be fine. Trust me.
I am getting me a Swiss Army knife. A Swiss Army knife is that guy that do video, photography, and graphic design. That's going to be my go-to man. He is one of the most important players on your team. He is somebody that's extremely... I'm talking about...
You can stop it, Payne. So we don't got to listen to... Once he says what it is, we can stop it.
Okay.
Thoughts on this one?
Sorry, Wallo. Dane wanted me to cut you off.
No, not the whole thing. We can still give our comments while it's up. So you got to...
No, I know. We interrupted him. We only got $500,000 worth of game off that one slide. But yeah, I agree. Again, it goes back to your situation. What I would encourage artists to do above all is learn about every aspect of your career. Obviously get a lawyer, but still learn what the contracts say and what those stipulations mean, what standard, what the things to focus on are. Apply that to the creative stuff. Learn how to at least use Canva. Learn how to use CapCut, because you never know what's going to happen. So here's the thing. If you're relying on one singular person who's a Swiss Army knife, great. I know people like that. Some of them are very loyal. Some of them are very talented, but they got their own lives, and sometimes they disappear. Sometimes they pivot. Sometimes they get sick of grinding it out with you, and next thing you know, they're gone. So a ton of rappers I know, especially around here, this shit started, shout out to Ted Park, but he came from, we all went to the same high school. He's just younger than me. So I was an adult when he was in high school, and I'm looking at the kids, and it was this group called Soulja Collective. They're still around. Uchi's still around. All of them are still doing stuff, but they all became Swiss Army knives themselves. All of them. Yeah. And that has carried them through life, because there's always some kind of work. Because it's like, all right, my music's not selling right now, or it's not my main source of income or attention. I can do videos. I'll do commercials. I run into some of those guys doing commercial video production all the time. It's just because they learned the shit because they needed to be their own Swiss Army knives. So don't just rely on others. If you have a team, great. But you can learn that stuff yourself, and you can learn from the team, so you take a more active role. That's the only thing I'll add.
Yeah. And the only thing for me to add to that is the person that Wallo's talking about is crucial and probably the first person that I would try to find if I was looking for to build a team. But this person is very difficult to find. And if you do find them, like they're in very high demand. So typically you have to do what Payne is suggesting and acquire these skills yourself until you find somebody that believes in what you're doing and has that skill set that's willing to be that person on your team.
So many artists do that though. Like I know, like DJ Victory too, and he kind of came from that. There's a whole family of people out here that just the Spinks family. They're just creatives. He makes beats, but he learned how to shoot video. He learned how to shoot graphics. He raps. He engineers. He's running the lab studios sessions a lot. So yeah, just looking at the stuff that they're able to do for themselves, they don't have to wait on shit. They want to drop a record, it's out. They drop it. They can do whatever they want. So that's incredibly empowering. And then also knowing how that all works, they can become better collaborators because they speak the language. They don't talk to a graphic designer and be like, make that shit more shiny. Like, no, they can say, okay, can you emboss the edges? Can you do a vignette? Because they know. Anyway, let's go to 4.
You got to nurture your YouTube channel. Your YouTube channel is one of the most important things to me. I just think YouTube and merch is major. I don't give a fuck what you're doing. Tell them to keep shooting. If you got to wipe your ass, shit, they ain't got to shoot you wipe your ass. Shoot you grabbing the toilet paper. I'm talking about shoot everything. All the content, because once again, people want to know more about your life than rap. We already know.
YouTube is probably underutilized with artists. Like I feel like a lot of artists don't have a YouTube strategy, and they should, because YouTube has been the most consistent platform, over the past 10, 15 years. And
artists don't have a content strategy, period.
But yeah, and the monetization is there if you're able to get, an audience. The one thing that I kind of disagree with what he said at the end is like, people, you shoot the stuff in the beginning and maybe eventually people will want to watch it if you progress, but like people are only going to watch it if it's interesting, right? I remember there was a producer on Funk Volume that wanted to do like behind the scenes stuff and shoot stuff, and I was like, I'm going to give you a shot to do this, but I promise you nobody's going to watch this because it's fucking boring. Like if you're a producer and you're not really on yet and you're just like doing behind the scenes or showing how a beat is made, nobody's going to sit there and watch that unless there's something else going on that's capturing people's attention. So I wouldn't just shoot just to shoot. I would be trying things that people might be interested in watching now, even if you don't have a big following. Because just regular behind the scenes content stuff, that stuff doesn't get watched.
Well, I think so. I interpret this, and I only have 2 things to say about it. I interpret it differently from you. He's saying shoot everything, not. Well, I guess he's kind of insinuating that people want to see that. But if you got a $250,000 advance from a label, then chances are people do care about what you got going on. So it's probably a good strategy. But I think shooting everything, just being ready to document everything, is a good strategy. Don't release everything. Yeah. But again, hey, there's a whole world of IRL streaming where people are watching literally everything you do. People are watching you while you sleep. So who knows?
But there have to, but even with that, like it's like those clippable moments. If there's something going on that you can clip and then share to other platforms, then cool. But again, if you're a boring ass person, like it's really, and there's no clippable moments, it's really going to be hard to get traction on that content. But
yeah, well, and then producers too. I mean, okay, this is a bad example because he is a platinum producer, but this dude Noah Mejia, he posts a bunch of wild shit, and it's all just beat making, but he clips the moments, and it's not necessarily something that the average person would be interested in, but he has a good content strategy. The last thing I'll say is with regards to YouTube is still beating, I think, Spotify out from new music's discovery. So yeah, if you don't have a YouTube strategy, what are you doing?
Yeah. What was I about to say? I was about to say one more thing. Anyway, let's go to the next one. I forgot. What does he say next?
You don't have a manager. Some people do have a manager. Some people don't. I hope that you have a manager that's well versed in different departments that can help you, because the manager is supposed to enhance your, what's going on and all that. But whatever. Make sure you got a lawyer, right? And make sure you got an accountant, because you don't want to be running into this thing, messing up a bunch of money. Then you're gonna owe a bunch of taxes and all that stuff. But make sure you got a lawyer. You want to have a lawyer on standby, somebody that's good to understand, contracts and all that stuff, because as you start to do your thing, and if you're doing what you need to be doing, you're going to be buzzing. A lot of stuff will be coming your way, a lot of brand deals, whatever. Boom. If you don't got a manager, get you an assistant, executive assistant, somebody to just handle your day-to-day, somebody that can book the flights, the hotels, the Airbnbs. If you want to do something in a bigger studio with somebody in another town, whatever, you don't want to just bring them to your Airbnb and record all your stuff, whatever. They're going to handle everything. They're going to.
This is kind of gray area to me. What do you think, Dan?
Well, he said a lot in that stuff. He's an accountant. You should definitely have an accountant. Would have told you from the jump to put some of this money away for taxes. So that's first and foremost. You can't really buy a manager, so I don't know what you're gonna do with $250,000. Like if there is a manager that's offering to be bought, probably not the manager for you. And I think a manager is important, but until you find that person that is a right fit, you need to be doing all this stuff yourself. Even with an assistant, like I think if you have $250,000 and you don't have a separate job, like you should be able to do everything you need to do. Like you shouldn't need an assistant, in my opinion. So I don't know about an assistant. Managers, you're just gonna have to wait for the right fit. Accountants should definitely be on board. But you don't need to have like let's see, with a $250,000, do you need a business manager? You just need an accountant to tell you to put some stuff away for taxes for sure. And you need to do your taxes. So you'll need an accountant when you need to file your taxes. It may be set up your business structure. If you don't already have an LLC or a business entity that you're operating from, then, you need an account. You need to set that up. So yeah, he said a lot in that step. And I don't know. Disagree with the assistant. Manager, you'll have to wait to find the right fit. Accountant, yes. Lawyer, yes. Hopefully the lawyer reviewed the contract even before you signed it. So
yeah, you should have had a lawyer. That's a prerequisite for you even getting that advance. And I think if you have a great manager, a manager can help with accounting and some kind of management, depending on your relationship with them. But also if you have a great manager, then the great manager can help coordinate the legal stuff with attorneys and so forth. So it's that's why I said it was gray area. With regards to accounting, it just depends. I mean, I think all of this depends on how much you can do, what you're capable of, and what your limits are in terms of time, energy, and knowledge. So for me, before I started really exploring multiple revenue streams, I was just doing my own taxes. And then after a certain point, I was getting so many 1099s in the mail. I guess about to be tax season in a month or two. And I already have about 15 1099s that have come in the mail from 15 different entities. So once that started happening, I was like, nah, man, I got to get an accountant. So I got an accountant. They're expensive as shit, but they handle it all. I just hand it off to them, fill out all the information that I need to fill out, clarify this, clarify that. They handle it. And I know plenty of producers and plenty of rappers who did not put money aside because they figured it was just going to keep coming in. And they did that shit up until April. And they had nothing left to pay the taxes. And then they had to go into debt to the IRS. And it's just a debt cycle all over again. So please don't do that. I interviewed a very close friend of mine on my YouTube channel. He was talking about how he created that cycle for himself. And it's all bad because if you ever want to get business loans, if you want to purchase a house, there are all these reasons why you need a tax history. And a lot of people think they can slip under the radar, and they do that shit many times. And hey, if the IRS doesn't catch you, you'll still get screwed in the end because you don't have a history of paying taxes. So no one knows that you have no proof of income or anything like that. And there's so much that you cannot do because of lack of that kind of history of paying taxes. So just don't do that to yourselves. I know, especially if you're young or if you've never had money before, it doesn't seem like the best, fun, most fun, sexiest thing to do. being in a debt cycle is worse than anything else that could happen just by you staying on top of your finances.
All right, let's speed this up a little bit. I know we got other topics to get to, but I think he's got 3 more suggestions for the 250,000.
You want them to get familiar with you. You want to build I'm talking about just a nice relationship with them or rapport with them, so they know, damn, this is a good dude. I want to support that, because a lot of these people that's out there that's doing music, a lot of people be having fucked up attitudes, and a lot of times people don't want to deal with that.
I know you got an opinion about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's we never really built solid relationships with like too many DJs, but I do agree with the just building with people in general, and people that have platforms. At the time, like early days, it was blogs and stuff like that. Now there's other platforms, other content platforms, podcasts, things like that. So this shouldn't take money though. So hopefully you wouldn't have to, well, maybe if you're attending, conferences and things like that, might be a little bit of money, but more so effort and willingness to come out of your comfort zone, shoot some DMs and stuff, and maybe attend some events in person. But I'm always a fan of networking for sure.
Yeah, I think just not being what did he say? Not having a effed up attitude.
I didn't catch that part, but I would agree with that. You shouldn't have an effed up attitude.
I don't think you need to network so aggressively these days. I think you can, if you build your own community, you'll be fine. And then the networking just happens organically by virtue of you not having a bad attitude. If you just treat people fine, because I feel like the pitfall is when your only motive is networking, then you don't really form genuine connections. You're just focused on getting something out of a situation, but it's nuanced. It's very nuanced. Let's jump to number 7. This is the last one, I think.
A lot of people will fuck the money up. They will go fuck the money up, be riding off that one song and not bringing no assets back to the label. And then when the one song down the label, you ain't gonna be able to get people on the phone no more. People on the label will be like, and you'll be sitting there, I can't do nothing, because you ain't get high. Listen, the name of this game is not it's not no personal game. This music shit is not personal. It's only about one thing. Is you hot or not? That's it.
Yeah, you gotta deliver the music. Overall, I would give his advice maybe a 6.5, 7 out of 10.
Damn.
I mean, it's just, and I don't really want to go into it now. Maybe we should, but like, Wallo is not even an artist, and not to say you can't get good advice from people that aren't an artist, but he don't even work with artists. Like, he talks to artists, So I 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 for that advice.
That's a passing grade. I would give him an 8, honestly, just because there's nothing. If you follow his advice, there's no step that if you follow something disastrous is going to happen. I see people giving disastrous advice all the time.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you got to do this, hit the road and do this. It's just very pedantic. You have to do this. I think his stuff was general enough where it applies to everybody, and it can benefit anyone in any situation if applied correctly. But again, it's a short video format, so.
Yeah. Shout out to Wallo. I know that, because he's such a great communicator and showman, YouTube's been huge for him.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's ultimately why he called out YouTube, because I don't know his whole backstory. Obviously, I know that he spent quite a few years in jail, but I don't know if he was a great presenter, communicator, like even before he went to jail. Did he develop that skill set in jail? But he's an entertaining cat, and he got a lot of energy and a lot of positive things to say. So, him and Wallo have been a great combination. Their podcast has done well, but they've done well individually too. So shout out to both of them.
All right. Well, speaking of dealing with money coming through, let me quick run through this. Producer royalty, shout out producer royalty. Terrifying caption: how labels trick producers.
Producers, do not fall for this trick that lawyers and labels play. Most hip-hop songs are released way before finalizing the producer agreement. And a lot of times the label won't tell the producer about the placement until the week of the release. And when they do reach out, they might say something like this: "This song is supposed to be released this weekend. We need your agreement by then. Otherwise, we might pull the song from the project." This is a lie. They are not that worried about getting the agreements for the songs before the release.
They sure aren't. Or sample clearance for that matter in a lot of situations, but they usually handle sample clearance before they pay the producers.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, this happens all the time. Payne, why did you want to shed light on this?
Because I want to talk about the two biggest lies that I think are afflicting producers, and this is one of them. And this happened to me my very first placement, where the labels were saying, "We need this paperwork signed right away," and they do that so that, one, they just want to get everything handled so they don't have to deal with anything in the future that might hold things up or come back to haunt them. But they also just want you to rush through the agreement and not negotiate. So they put pressure on you. And at the time, my manager didn't really understand, because this was a first for both of us. So we went ahead and signed it. My lawyer was not a great lawyer. And I mean, he was a great lawyer, but not to me. And so we rushed through it, signed it. And years later, I look back on it and I'm like, man, I should have negotiated so many points on this agreement. And then they were like, yeah, but you're going to get kicked off the project if we don't get this by this weekend. And in my head, I'm thinking like, but the album drops next Friday. So isn't it already in production? Are you going to produce and ship out all those millions of units? Because this was back when CDs were still big. You're going to ship all that the night before? So I knew something was fishy. I knew my shit was already on the album and printed, like intuitively, but I still fell for it.
Do you think this is like an intentional tactic, or do you think that like they're just unorganized and like the project is about to come out and they're like, oh shit, we didn't do the paperwork? Like, or do you think they intend to do the paperwork like at the very last second to try to, because I feel like this could get them into some sticky situations. I'm sure they have, because if it is a smarter team, now I feel like the producer has more leverage because they're about to they're telling you they're about to release it in a few days. And if they do like negotiate, like what the only other thing they can do is like pull the song, right? Like,
and I don't think they would pull the song, because that's just, labels don't do that. I think their whole strategy is ask for forgiveness, not for permission. And as a result, they're just comfortable in that space. I think labels are very comfortable in that space of doing something and then just because they know 9 out of 10 times is going to work out in their favor. Because no one wants to drag things out with a label. And even if you say, yeah, you know what? I want twice the advance. That's not going to break them. So they might say, you know what? We'll give you $5,000 more. You shut up and then we move forward. And that usually works out. They don't lose in those situations. Even if you have leverage, you want the song to come out. If the song comes out and, do you have the power to fight the label? Probably not. Right. Do you have the financial resources to drag on? Like you could harass them, but eventually it's going to settle. I know people who had songs out that were hits and all the money was in escrow because they were fighting with the labels. And like 2-3 years later, it finally got released. And they're like, that wasn't even worth it, honestly. But I'll say the second thing that the second lie, and this isn't from a label perspective, this is just from everyone, is this whole idea of somebody giving you, 50% of the project in exchange for not getting paid. And like, I still get these all the time. This was controversial, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But some people reached out and they're like, hey, are you interested in this remix project? I don't know them from a can of paint. They've never reached out before. They are not rappers. I'm not going to say what genre of music they are, but it's one I wouldn't have expected. But I'm like, yeah, cool. I'm open to it. So I want details about the project before I say yes or no. So I'm asking for details. Eventually, after like 2-3 emails back and forth, it seems to me like they're not offering me a cent. And these aren't big artists by any means. They're not even really on the platforms. So the data is like dismal on them. And I said, hey, are you asking me to remix the song in exchange for, because what they said was, we could even give you 50% if the song goes on the streaming platform. I'm like, wait a minute. So you're going to release the song and I'm not getting shit, but you might put it on the streaming platforms and then you're going to give me 50% of the $2 that it generates. So I asked for clarity and they're like, yeah, sure. That's exactly what we're asking. And there's happening all the time. And people always blame hip hop and rap and, those gangsters, they don't want to pay. Like, these were not rappers. These were not young dudes. These were guys older than me in a certain genre of music that is generally regarded as more sophisticated and mature than rap. And they're still pulling this stuff. And it's just this general, sometimes it's evil, but I think for the most part, it just comes from a place of absolute ignorance and people not being able to think beyond their experience. Because if you're an artist and you don't make money off of music, and you approach someone who is making a living off of music, you can't relate to them. There's a disconnect. So you think, why don't I give them 50% of what I think is valuable, which is my music, but that 50% is worth $0, and they should accept that because this is collaborative. And it's like, it's not collaborative. Things change when you reach a certain point in your career. They just do.
Yeah.
They just do. I had this dude email me the other day and was like, oh, you don't want to help me, but you're at the community center helping these kids. Like, bitch, yes, I'm at the community center helping. You're a grown-ass man. Figure your shit out. I'm at the community center giving kids an outlet because there have been shootings and killings and all types of wild shit, and it's an underserved area. Yes, I am. Come on, man. You can't be serious.
That's so out of pocket. That's super out of pocket.
But I mean, it's the same kind of mentality where it's just like me. Why can't I have give it? It's like, you have to understand that it's what, like Wallo was saying. If you have a fucked up attitude, people don't want to work with you. And unfortunately, I think these guys just don't get it. I don't think they're malicious or evil. I just don't think they get it. But unfortunately, the impact is the same. Whether your attitude comes from a place of evil or it comes from a place of innocence and ignorance, the impact is the same. You are still making a terrible impression on people that you want to work with.
Yeah. All right, let's get it, because we got two. I think we're trying to get to two more topics, unless you have more to speak on this topic.
Let's run over to
okay.
Z.
So this is Z from Audio Mac. He says, for stars, the era of throwing an album up on DSPs and doing a few podcasts or radio interviews is over. Direct-to-consumer, pop-ups, activations, street teams, and community events are back. In real life, activity builds loyalty and generates social content. Adapt or die. This is another case where, like, again, independent artists have been doing this stuff. Independent artists have always realized this. It's another case of independent artists kind of leading the major label system, right? And Cole comes from, he did like that tour for $1 back in the day. Like, so to me, this is still authentic to Cole, because when he came up, he did a lot of stuff in real life, and he did a lot of stuff for his fans. But this is just letting independent artists know that major labels are on to us now again. So we have to kind of think even more creatively about how you execute some of this stuff. Because we always got to stay a step ahead of the majors, because the majors have more money to spend. So this is just kind of an example, because we've seen because what was that? Because Daniel Caesar signed, right? He signed to a major. We talked about him. We talked about him doing those free concerts in the park. They're starting to catch on. They should have been doing this a long time ago, but now that, like Z said, there isn't just an easy button to push and do a few things to kind of get the music out there. They're resorting to a lot of this community driven stuff. So we got to get creative. Any thought, Payne? What did you think about Cole driving across the country and selling his CD? I don't know how much he's selling it for. How much is he? Do you know how much he's selling the CD for?
I think it was like 10 or below. I don't know. Let me look that up. What did you think that was a good move for him?
I thought it was cool. Like it definitely, because he's done stuff for fans prior. Like there's a history of it. It didn't seem as performative to me. So I think it's in line with kind of like the storytelling, especially with, you know, what was his albums called? The Come Up, the Warm Up, the Fall Off. Yeah.
He's selling them for $1, it says.
Oh, that's cool. I think it's dope. I don't know if those reports are SoundScan, but overall,
who cares, right? At this point,
yeah, nah. I think his label would care. Like, I think his label would like to say, "Hey, we sold 2 million records."
Yeah,
and I don't know where is he going across the whole country, or is he just hitting a few spots?
Good question, though. I don't know.
But yeah, I think there's a huge opportunity to obviously everything you do in real life, you want to capture for socials. And I think it shows your audience that you're having an impact in real life. And it's not just, something being celebrated on social media. So you should always look for those opportunities to merge the two. Anything you do in real life should be captured on video and presented on your socials so people can see what you're doing and hopefully drum up anticipation for you to go to their city and do the same thing, right? Because I'm sure people would love. Yeah, I'm sure people would love for J. Cole to pull up in their city and, sell the CD. But I think he speaks to them as well. I saw one picture of just him speaking to the crowd, and I don't know what he was saying, but yeah, I thought it was dope. I would say if I'm rating that, I'll give Cole 8 out of 10 for that move, for sure. 8 out of 10.
No, it does make sense. It aligns with his branding for him to do something like this. I can think of some artists that it probably wouldn't align, like Cardi B, probably not.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense with her brand, but there are other direct to fan interactive experiences that she could create. Yeah. It's just, it wouldn't make sense. I don't know if I'm Cole and I'm worth several $1 million. I don't give a fuck about SoundScan. If I want to connect with my fans and galvanize my fan base, then yeah, I would do some shit like this if it made sense to the image that I've always conveyed to people.
Remember, Cardi B had that moment where I'm sure she just popped out of her truck real quick and was like selling CDs on the sidewalk in New York when her album came out. Remember that?
I don't, but now that I think, I got to walk back my statement because that's a very New York thing to do.
But I think it was probably just a situation where she just popped out for the social clip and then got right back into her black SUV and took off. You don't expect to be at the gas station and see Cardi B. You might expect to see J. Cole at the, and it's all psychology. It's the psychology of branding. What if she took it back to the strip club though? That would be interesting. Like if she did something, not strip, of course.
That's part of her branding.
Yeah, for sure. So something like that, I think, that would obviously hit well on socials too. Shout out J. Cole. I haven't listened to the project. I know that it's a double disc. It's a lot of music. Have you listened to any of it? Do you have any thoughts on the music? Good, bad?
I mean, I
don't think he can make bad music, but
no, he doesn't. The opinions just fly. I like everything pretty much. I haven't heard anything I didn't like. So
nice.
I'm such a bad, in the era of everybody getting popular by writing scathing critiques of music. I'm like, the older I get, the more I like stuff. I'm doing it in reverse.
Yeah. Well, what about just the idea of the double disc and like an hour and 40 minutes of music?
Well, people waited long enough. It makes sense. I don't think. What are the numbers like? What were his first week numbers?
I don't know, but somebody made a good point. I can't remember where I heard it. Because like people will listen to a podcast for 3 hours. Like why wouldn't they listen to music for an hour and 40 minutes if they love it? There's a lot of critique of the double disc, saying people don't have the attention span. People are doing a lot of other things now when they're listening to music, so you shouldn't release that much music. If this was on his heart, this is the way he wanted to get it out. This is how he wanted to put a button on this series of in the fall off. Like, I think that's
people
dope.
just yap though. I mean, again, it depends on the artist. If someone is your fan, it doesn't matter. People are gonna listen to that album back to back. If you're a J. Cole fan, you're listening to his album back to back. If you're a Kendrick fan, you're listening to it back to back. There are just certain artists that release full bodies of work the way Cole did, and then there are artists that release, like the Russ strategy, where he'll release song after song after song and then an album. But those fans too, they will listen to the album front to back. Trust me, I know. And this attention, I don't know. People just yap. People have an opinion about everything. And this is how I know how consumers behave. I know how fans behave. No, you don't.
But if you got two albums worth of music, I would have just extended the promotion, right? Like it's all kind of basketball related, right? So maybe I would have, chopped it up into 4 quarters and released 1 quarter at a time. You know what I mean? Just dropping it all. I feel like if the music doesn't hit, like they're going to be on to something else next week, next month, 2 months from now. Like I thought it would have, if you have that much music, why not spread it out? At least do a college basketball game and do 2 halves, like drop the first one and then, let people talk about it, argue about it, complain about it. And then, maybe a halftime, do something for halftime, and then a second half. Like it was an actual game. I think something like that could have been creative and dope. I'm just always trying to extend the life of the promo, and I know J. Cole is not. Maybe that's just not. I know he don't want to be out there just promoting stuff forever. But in terms of the effectiveness of the promotion of the music, I feel like extending it is always, better in my opinion.
He sold 300,000 first week according to the reports. So
nice.
I mean, I'm guessing he's going to debut at number 1. The data right now, Don Toliver is number 1, A$AP Rocky's number 2, NBA YoungBoy is number 3, and Drake is number 5. So I think once his numbers come in, he's going to probably overtake Don Toliver.
Yeah, I didn't know Don Toliver was that popular, but shout out Don Toliver.
Yeah, he's been consistent. People love his music, and I think it's just been getting better with time.
Dope.
And more well branded. Okay, so let's talk about this situation with Finesse 2 Times. I'm gonna pull up the screenshot. I want to know your opinion. This is one of those kind of clickbaity Facebook posts from these media sites.
I'm not that familiar with Finesse 2 Times. Like I've seen this stuff. I know that he was part of some controversy or drama recently. I don't know what it was about though.
Isn't it him versus Moneybagg Yo? No
idea.
Yeah, it's with Moneybagg Yo, but I don't know. So Finesse 2 Times was trying to get clearance on a record that sampled, and I'm not sure. So this is where my ignorance comes in. I'm not sure if he was just trying to rap over the beat and then release it commercially, or if a producer flipped the Notorious Thug sample and he wanted to get clearance for that. And Finesse 2 Times is upset that I guess the sample clearance is 40,000. And The Rich Life of JR says rappers be so rich when it's time to see Johnny Dang, but not when it's time to put in towards their craft.
I'm assuming Johnny Dang is a jeweler.
Yeah. You don't know who Johnny Dang is?
Nah. Who is the cat that was Ben
Baller?
Yeah, that's what
Johnny Dang is like the Houston jeweler. I want to say that Mexican OT has a song called Johnny Dang, actually.
Okay. I wouldn't have paid $40,000 to clear. Like, just make another song. Like songs don't. I mean, unless it's a guaranteed hit, which you really can't guarantee. I think you get into these situations when you make the song and then try to negotiate, like or put it out. I'm assuming the song was out, or did he not?
I don't think
put it
the
out?
Song was out. No.
Okay, so he did try to negotiate before.
Yeah. And also it said from Traps and Trunks reports, Finesse 2 times says he sampled the Bone Thugs and Harmony record. I don't think we've heard it. And when his label went to get it cleared, Bone allegedly told him it would cost $40,000. So this is something that that the label would be handling. So it's not coming out of his pocket. That's why like the Johnny Dang line is funny, but it
is coming out of his pocket though. I mean, out of his
it's coming out of his. Yeah, it's coming out of his budget and it's being recouped against what he makes.
Right. I mean, so to recoup 40,000 is going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot of streams,
especially with the way label recoupment math works.
You have to, like, if you're an artist, you have to be careful about who negotiates for you. You know, I've said this several times on this podcast. Like, a lot of times I would just have the Funk Volume guys like sort it out, because typically if they were talking to the producer or the other artist or whatever, they want to keep that relationship. So they're not going to throw out some crazy number. But if a label goes to whoever they're negotiating with, they're saying, oh, that's a label. They got bread. They're not even really they're not even thinking about that being the artist's money. They're thinking about it being the label's money. Right. So they're trying to get as much bread as possible. So think about that, too, not just in negotiation, but who's in the room negotiating. And he said Bone asked for 40,000. I don't even know if Bone knew the negotiation was going on. I don't know who received on their side or who administers their copyrights. Like, I know that blame is going to fall on Bone, but they might not even have known that they reached out.
Well, that's the big point of controversy in all this, aside from the money, is that Bone is saying, nah, this has nothing to do with us. This, number one, it came out on Bad Boy. We're not on Bad Boy. Number two, you got to negotiate with Big's estate. There are a lot of different people involved in this. There are multiple writers, multiple publishers, at least one label, an estate, because, you know, the main artist is deceased. So that becomes kind of crazy. And I'm going to say something nuts, but 40,000 is pretty low. I mean, I would have guessed they would have wanted more for that song, given the circumstances. You know, I've talked about a situation where we were sought out, my team, to create an entirely new sample. Now, this is different, because if you want to sample Notorious Thugs, you want to sample it because of what it is, not necessarily because of how it sounds, even though it's a great beat. You want to sample it to reference Notorious Thugs. You don't want to sample it because it's like, oh, I like that piano, I just want to flip it. No, you want people to know exactly what you're referencing. You know what I mean? Like the Kanye Through the Wire. He could have used any other sample or whatever, and it wouldn't have been the same. So you specifically want this. But if that's not the case, there was a situation with a very obscure band, and some fintech dudes invested and bought out a catalog, and they wanted $80,000 to clear that. And they're like, well, the song's not coming out. We're not paying $80,000. So they just got us to make a new sample for it, and it worked out. Something else that's interesting is that I looked it up, and other artists have sampled and cleared Notorious Thugs, so it's not impossible. And the person that did get it cleared was YG, and I feel like YG probably has a bigger budget than Finesse 2 times, but I don't think he has a crazy budget compared to Finesse 2 times. So yeah. I don't know. I think maybe it was one of those things where like he just didn't expect it to be 40,000 because he hadn't dealt with sample clearance in the past. Yeah.
The other thing, kind of, I mean, there's a lot of things you should do when negotiating, but and maybe Finesse 2 Times team did this, but like, make sure that you are respectful and professional. Like, as soon as you start getting an attitude about something, like, obviously that's not gonna go well for the negotiation. But if there's a solid story behind something, like if you're creating a song and your mother just passed away and you want to use a sample from another song, like their mother just passed away, maybe you guys can relate just on the story and the pain that you guys are going through. They might be more willing to do it for less, but just be human at the end of the day, in these negotiations, and hopefully.
Do you remember this name?
What is it?
Is an example of what you're saying not to do.
Yeah, don't be mad. Even if at the end of the day, like, it's their copyright. Like, if they don't want to let you use it, they don't have to let you use it. Like, going to social media to complain is not going to be a good look for you.
But it might not even be them. That's the thing.
Right.
So I think, like, what you're saying is, so in this case, I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. But Sonny Girl is calling Sierra old hoe, which is obviously not respectful. You're not helping by laughing, man. But Sierra had a label, and I'm pretty sure that was produced by Jazzy Faye. So he would have to sign off on it, on the writers, and his publisher would have to sign off on it. Sierra would have to sign off on it, but ultimately the label is, I think, going to set the main price, because if you're the writer, you're negotiating splits. If you're the label, you're negotiating clearances. Yeah. And so the label would be more, I would think, more than likely the culprit in saying no, or at least requesting a large amount of money for the clearance fee. So yeah, I don't know why people target individual artists in these situations where they can't get something cleared. Also, there are agencies like DMG clearances. Just, I don't know. Yeah, try that. Because, yeah, the labels don't care. The labels go try to get they are the label. So if they can negotiate with another label or within their own label, they're going to do that without any regard for where that leaves the artist, because they're making their money regardless. They don't care.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not that many independent artists that have to worry about this yet. I know a lot of people are just using samples just without clearing them. I'm not suggesting that. But again, be respectful of people's work, just like you would want people to be respectful of your work. Should you have a song that eventually gets sampled at some point in your career. Yeah. But hopefully you can work it out. Hopefully everything is respectful. You maybe get a decent fee and just get some of the publishing on the song. Don't take all the publishing, like that cat who was that took all of Kanye's publishing?
Yeah, that whole team. It was those songwriters. Yeah.
Yeah, they took everything. That's all bad too. But that's what happens in this business.
That's exactly what happens in this business. And speaking of the music business, we are the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast, because we talk it because we live it, so we give it. And I think, according to Dame's various studies, we are the number one music podcast that involves a streamer from the South, the West, and the Midwest, dropping on Mondays at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. So we're doing really well.
For sure. All right, y'all. We'll be back next week. Peace. I just